Hi, this is Danny Hicks from Evil Dead 2. And my name is Bruce and Darkman, and okay, all kinds of other things. And you're listening to The Morbidly Made, where the fans make the rules.
Oh, God help us. Fede, you're on with Mike and John.
Hello.
Hi, Fede. How are you?
How you doing, guys?
Great. Honored to be speaking with you.
Thank you. You got me in a good time. Like, very early in the morning, I just, got out of bed. So I'm very, very honest in the mornings, which is good.
Awesome. Yeah, I just got up to you, not going to lie.
Yeah, I'm not in selling mode. You know, I'm not like, yeah, this movie's awesome. I mean, like, yeah, okay, let's do it. So it's always good.
Real quick before we get rolling, could we get you to record a drop for us, please?
A what?
Just a little recording, a drop, just mentioning our show.
Oh, sure. Just tell me what to say.
Mike, your area.
Okay. Just say, this is Fede Alvarez, writer-director of the new Evil Dead, and you're listening to The Morbidly Made, where the fans have control.
So yeah, the first part, I got it. Yeah, I got the first part. So the second part is?
And then say, you're listening to The Morbidly Made, where the fans have control.
Yeah, well, the fans have control. But what's the name of the show again? I think you had it. I have to.
The Morbidly.
I got to take it out in front of me. I have it write it down so I get it right. In a second, guys.
Okay.
That's all right.
It's my second language. It's my second language.
Yeah, that's fine.
Wait. So, I'm doing Morbidly, right?
Yes.
The Morbidly Made.
Yes.
It's a hard word to say. Good, so, I'll try it once. Are you ready?
Okay.
Hello, this is Fede Alvarez, the director. Sorry, again, writer-director. Hey, this is Fede Alvarez, the writer-director of the new Evil Dead. And you listen to The Morbidly Made. I said something weird. Morbidly. You're listening? That's the right thing to say?
Yes.
Yes.
So you're listening to The Morbidly Made, where the fans have control. That's the line?
Yes.
Yep.
Awesome. I'm sorry, I don't do this really right now. So let me try again.
Alright, you primitive screwheads, listen up. Welcome back to The Morbidly Made,
Oh,
motherfuckers.
God. All right. Look, the retrospective ended a week ago. We're done. We're back to, semi-normal shows. No more Bruce Campbell bullshit, please. I can't deal with it.
Oh, come on. He's the king, though.
In your mind, maybe, but in normal people's minds, he's just another person who is an asshole.
Mike, fuck you. He's not an asshole. He is the king. He's the greatest actor of his generation. And, dude, it's Bruce Campbell. What was your favorite part of the Evil Dead remake?
The ending. And that's when it totally faded to black. I was kind of wishing that, Mia would have, come up on him with her chainsaw hand and stuck the chainsaw through the back of his head.
Oh, fuck you. You are so full of shit.
That would have been
You were just
amazing.
as excited as I was.
No, I wasn't. I was like him? I'm like, who gives a shit? Fuck this. Wow.
No, you were just as excited.
No, I was like, you know what? He could have did more. I mean, it's just groovy.
He could have. He could have. I'm not going to lie there. But as we kind of promised earlier, I said that I would rewatch the movie and inform you people as to if my opinion changed. I did get a chance to rewatch the movie, and my vote is going to change.
Okay.
So, drum roll, Mike. So originally, my
spit
vote.
all over my microphone. Ugh.
Way to go, buddy.
Yeah.
So originally, my vote was an 8, right?
Yeah.
Mike gave it a 4.
4.
I think.
Yeah. And that was generous. Yep.
So my vote now. Ready for it, Mike? Ready?
I gotta stop doing that. I'm spitting.
Yeah,
on the
you're just
microphone.
spitting everywhere. Just no,
Yeah.
it doesn't work. It doesn't
Okay.
work. We'll just increase our production value,
Yeah.
and we'll actually get a drum set or something. But anyway, my vote now,
Yeah.
8.5.
Fuck you.
Dude, I fucking like that movie. It's good.
Ew, no. No,
See,
it's
I
not.
knew
No,
I
it's
should
not.
tell you what it was. This works so much better not telling you.
It's not, and I'm going to tell you why it's not. And it goes back to a conversation we were just having before we started recording. And it's okay. Movies today. Okay?
Listening?
Look. The Evil Dead remake brought nothing new to the table. The original Evil Dead was revolutionary because back at that time, in 1981 when it was released, you did not have movies that were over the top gore like that and blood like that, okay?
No,
Now-
totally agree.
Now, Evil Dead Remake didn't bring anything new in that vein because, see, the gory movie of this generation was Saw in 2004. So, you can't top that. You can't compete with that. And if that's what the Evil Dead was trying to do, which that's what I think it was trying to do, bring something new, they failed miserably.
Well, see, I'm not even really looking at it that way. I'm just looking at it as this film entertained the fuck out of me. And a lot of the problems that I originally had after rewatching,
Yeah.
I realized were not that big of a problem. Like the book
As-
being that in your face, the second viewing, it's not. Like that stood out to me originally. This time it didn't.
As a writer, I mean, you're a writer.
Yes, sir.
And I feel that your view on this film is grossly misinterpreted because I feel that you're letting the name Evil Dead cloud your vision, so to speak.
Okay, well, let's get into this because I've actually got a little feedback from some of our listeners, Mike. And they actually...
Oh, they think it's a piece of shit too? Awesome.
No. I've actually got a little bit of feedback from our listeners around like your rating here. They think it's a little inconsistent because
Who the fuck
you'll
thinks
give
that?
something you'll give something like Rites of Spring a 6 or a 7. I don't remember.
Yeah, well, that's because A.J. Bowen was in it. He saved it for me.
Yeah. Okay, that movie had almost no redeemable qualities.
And first
It
of
was a
all-
fucking
wait,
train wreck.
wait,
But the
first
Evil
of all-
Dead gets
Yeah.
a 4?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, look, Jane Levy was in The Evil Dead, and I love Jane Levy. I think she's very attractive. But she didn't do enough to boost it up past the 4 for me because she's in a demon makeup for half the time. And plus,
Which
losing
her
hand,
fucking Deadite character was awesome.
Yeah, but it wasn't hot, so that can't boost the rating. Plus, her chainsaw hand makes her into a gimp, so I really can't support that, so.
Dude. No. Here's what you're thinking. She makes herself a gimp with that, though. But imagine humping that. Huh?
I don't want first of all...
Yeah.
if
Right
you
in the
hump-
fucking stump. Right in it. Just get right in
in
there.
the stump, okay. I thought you were
Yeah!
going to say the chainsaw.
No.
That would
I'm talking
kinda
about the
cut me.
stump. Yeah, right in the
Okay, yeah.
stump.
No, the stump would actually feel pretty good. That would go hard and deep, so that would feel pretty good.
But here's my point. I think you're just skewed because of the title. And
I'm
you
skewed.
went
No,
in...
you're skewed.
I don't believe you because this, regardless, like the first time I watched it, I was comparing it. I was going a lot off the Evil Dead, but the second time I viewed this movie, I didn't really because I already had watched it. I already done that. This time it was just fucking enjoyable, and that's all it was. It was an enjoyable film. So I think it's fun. I think a lot of people should give it a chance.
No, they shouldn't. And it's going to drop off this second weekend, so I'm just hoping it does. I really do.
I'm hoping it doesn't, and willing to go see it a third time. So,
Oh boy, and you talk about throwing money away. Holy fuck, that is throwing money away.
But Mike, I still say your voting is a little skewed, but that's something that we're going to have to dig into maybe a little bit later, because you always want to talk about titles and actors, but as the film work standing for itself, this film is an 8.5 in my book. It's very fucking enjoyable. It's fun. It's fucking bloody as shit. So
yeah, but bloody isn't everything, sir.
No, obviously not.
Yeah. Well, for that film it is, because story is completely absent. So
really,
characters are absent too.
Yeah, because let's look at your high voting so far and talk about Rites of Spring and how that story was so well fucking thought out.
Let's stop picking on Rites of Spring, for Christ's sake.
Fucking piece of shit, and you give it like a 6 or a fucking 7.
Yeah,
people are gonna go back and you probably actually gave it an 8. Like, no, it's good. No, it's a fucking train wreck of a movie.
I don't remember what I gave Rites of Spring, but I want to go back now and find out.
It was fucking bad, and you gave it something high, and I didn't, because I know it was a fucking train wreck. But regardless, we're gonna have to get in that a little bit later. But let's get into something a little bit more entertaining, because you started it off with talking about how much the retrospective's kind of taking a toll on us a little bit.
Oh yeah, I don't know about you, but I'm spent.
I mean, yeah, we did put a lot of work into this, whether people really realize that or not. And, honestly, I wasn't always up to the work, but we'll get into that in a second. The guests alone, this was kind of like a pain in the ass for us. And most people that have been listening to us know that we try and usually get stuff out there to get people involved with the guests. Honestly, these guests were so last minute and, so hit or miss with trying to get everything scheduled that we really didn't either get the time or the chance to do it.
Right. Well, we didn't. And I mean, and you know yourself that I was going back and forth with a lot of people to try to get them for the show. I mean,
and was I. And I usually don't even play that role.
Well, right. And I mean, we can get into your excursion. Well, you know what? Let's dive into that first, because I think that it's so, and we're gonna say it here. These people, these 3 women especially, I'm not really too concerned about burning a bridge, but because we don't usually like to do that here. But I think at this point we can, and it'll be okay.
Well, here's the deal. I'm not gonna say anything first. I kind of want to just put the information of what happened out there. So we were discussing guests to get. Obviously, on the top of my list were the Ladies of the Evil Dead. How fucking perfect would that be for the first retrospective of the original Evil Dead? Fucking spot on. It would be perfect. Mike tried to get them for what? Almost a month straight, trying to get anything nailed down, and you didn't get any responses, right?
I got one, and they wanted to see the website that we were on, so I sent them over a link to the website with, some of the shows and all that, and they said they really liked the website. They had a little issue finding our shows because the Morbidly Made page on the site didn't have our shows listed, but that issue is now fixed. So, they were... But I didn't hear anything past that, because they said, okay, would you like to maybe set something up? And I never heard anything back.
Yeah, and then I reached out to him. I think it was 2 weeks later. It took him almost a month to get back to me. And then, here, let me actually list off the letter that I sent to them. Okay?
Oh, good. Read it, yeah.
So here's the letter that I actually sent to the Ladies of the Evil Dead. Says, my name is John Rhodes, and I must admit I'm a huge fan of yours. The Evil Dead is my favorite film, and I want to thank each of you for taking part in that grueling experience, as it would not be the same without you. I could go on, but I'd like to get more to the point. I'm a host of an internet radio show called The Morbidly Made, and I would be extremely honored if we could interview on the show. I know that my partner Mike has already been in contact with you, and the last thing I wish to do is bother any of you. However, I feel that I need to reach out to you and, kind of plead my case. We are dedicating an entire month to the Evil Dead, where we'll be giving in-depth reviews, have fan discussions, and hopefully be bringing guests on to each of the film's retrospectives. The writer-director, Fede Alvarez, Ted Raimi, and I just lost my place because I got a message. Sorry, guys. Moving on anyway. Have already committed to come on to the show. And I personally feel that it would be absolute best choice to have you guys on for the first show. Our show is slightly different, however, blah, 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 and this just gets into the whole point of how we try and involve fans, okay? So that you guys get the general gist of that.
Right. Well, they should.
Yeah, and then I think it was about 2-3 weeks, something like that later, I get, hey, John, sorry it's taken us a while to reply. We don't do much interviews these days unless, in all capitals, we're being paid. Sometimes, if we're sitting around at a con, people will come up and do interviews, but that's about it. We don't make money off this movie, so we just don't spend much time promoting it. Thanks for your interest, and maybe you can catch up with us at one of the upcoming appearances. And then they go on to promote themselves in their own email to me. So, okay, all right, I get it. Just being curious. And for everyone out there that wants to do an interview with them, of course, I responded to them, asking, well, with all that being said, exactly how much would it cost to have an interview with the ladies of the Evil Dead? And I never once got a response. So right there, it took us probably almost 2 months altogether just to get them pinned down to the point of them saying that they'd only do an interview if we paid them. So you people can make your own conclusions around that. I am not very impressed with the ladies of the Evil Dead, pretty much asking us to give them money to interview them.
Right. I just would love to know how much they actually wanted.
I tried to get that information for everybody, but they are not too keen on giving it up, apparently.
Oh, that is greatly disappointing, honestly.
Yeah. Well, moving off the bitches subject, we did try with several others. Bruce was unfortunately all scheduled out.
Well, that's what he says. Whether or not I believe that is a different story.
You just hate Bruce.
No, it's not that I hate Bruce. I just don't like how he says that, we wanted him to get him in, March, I guess. And
yeah.
He's like, well, I'm already booked up for the rest of the year. And that was a personal email I received from him, by the way. And then I find out that his burn notice days are numbered as of April. So as of April, he'll be a free man.
Maybe not. I don't know. You saw after the credits.
That doesn't matter. So I had just assumed that I was going to write back to him and say, Bruce, I didn't know that you being booked up for the whole year. I didn't know the whole year was April, till April, but okay.
Honestly, we don't know what his schedule is, and I'm not really going to fault the man because,
of course,
whatever.
You love him. But what I'm going to do is I will write him again in April, and I will say, yes, Bruce, I understand you said you were booked up for the year, but I know now that burn notice is done, so you're probably going to be looking for work, because you don't want to be out there begging for food. So let's roll this bitch and have you on the show.
You're such a fucking prick. All right. We also had a little bit of problems, as pretty much everybody saw, with Mr. Timothy Quill. And
I was going to say Dan Quill, but yeah, that's right. He is Tim Quill.
Yeah. We had a little bit of problems with Tim. Just scheduling didn't work out with him. And, we just kind of made a joke out of it. And not in a mean way, because if it was a mean way, we'd have been pricks the entire way through it. So,
right.
Hopefully everyone enjoyed that. But, yeah, there was just tons of guests that we tried to get. There's many that we didn't even list. I mean, almost the entire cast of the remake. We tried. We're still actually possibly going to get some people from this. So, I mean, that's still up in the air. But we were able to deliver some good guests, and hopefully everyone enjoyed that, though. Right. But that was definitely a ride trying to get some of them.
Oh, God, no, it definitely was. I mean, the guests from the remake, I don't want to say that, that's just, a lot of that is probably publicists, because I don't deal with them, individually. I deal with their managers or their publicists. So, and a lot of the publicists or managers don't want to hear about stuff like that, or they think that, like, oh, it's an internet radio show. It's kind of rinky-dink because who really does things on the internet? They don't realize that the internet is kind of like the here and the now.
Yeah.
So, you know.
And you know what's funny about that is, you know, you're so frequently called the super producer, Mike, but you deal with all these PR people, but when I was trying to get our celebrities, I was just dealing directly with them. What the fuck's with that, man?
Well, that's because the ladies of the Evil Dead are not what I like to call celebrities. They're just people that are, they're just people that are riding on the Evil Dead's coattails 30 years later and have nothing better to do.
All right. Well, I did get us Tim.
I
did get us.
Well,
I at least got the contact for Ted.
You did.
So yeah.
Right.
And I was also the hookup towards Dan.
You were. I'm not gonna lie. You were. You did good.
Yeah, I really bust my ass with this retrospective. And for those of you that don't necessarily agree with that or see that, there's a very good reason. For those of you that listen to fucking the Evil Dead 2 retrospective and don't think that I bring it or that I seem overly drunk through some of the retrospectives, there's a very good reason. And I actually kind of want to get into that because I feel that our listeners deserve that knowledge. Mike's well aware of this. Mike's been very supportive.
I've been his rock through this whole thing. Basically.
Yeah, there was a lot going on. And I think I even referenced it throughout some of them, saying that there was a lot of personal stuff going on.
You referenced it to Danny Hicks, and I beeped him on it.
There was actually one point where I was considering having Vince, who was kind enough to do it, but we chose not to fill in for me or this or that. What actually happened, I think it was actually the day that we recorded Evil Dead 2. My would-be fiance actually left me that day, and that's just it's a really hard pill to swallow. And I know there's some people out there that saying it's just a breakup or whatnot, but that's
it's John. Look, I understand, and we have talked about it, and it is it's very trying because I understand, you know, that it's tough, and you did the very admirable thing. You just picked it up and you moved forward, which is what you should do, you know, because if you sit there and you cry in your beer, your Southern Comfort, that is very counterproductive, and I did the non-counterproductive thing.
I tried my best to keep going. I tried to keep the show going for everybody. I know it wasn't the best, but I tried my best. I was really struggling through some of that. I think the second retrospective kind of shows that a lot. There was some really low points there, and it's just that was really hard. And for any of you that are actually followers of us on Facebook, you'll notice that right around that time frame, me and Alex from the Skeleton Crew actually had words, and all that was a misunderstanding. He thought that I was trying to, you know, poke fun or make fun or something like that of them, and all it was I was so fucking drunk all the time that I didn't really do any prep work. I wasn't, you know, up to do a lot of prep work, and our words kind of went back and forth, and it got to the point where I took it personally that he was making fun of my situation, not that he even really knew what the hell was going on or believed that I had something going on. And, you know, at the end of it, I was honestly so pissed off. I was shaking. I literally had to call Mike and kind of just vent because I was so goddamn mad.
I remember that day.
But, you know, I can't really say a whole lot about it because I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that guy. You know, it was a misunderstanding. That's all it was. I'm not faulting anybody. I'm not raining on anyone's parade. I'm not talking anyone down because it happened. It's no big deal. And, you know, I'm not getting into that whole back and forth shit. I'm not about it. I don't want any part of that. And that's not what it is. All that was a misunderstanding. Nothing more. So, honestly, the big part is to take from this is that you know, I'm here. I'm still trying. I think I'm doing a lot better. And I appreciate everyone that, you know, offered support when I was really struggling there, because there was a definite time when I was struggling. And I just want to thank everyone.
Right. I mean, everyone was very super supportive and very understanding. And, I mean, I'm just glad that we were able to get you through that period, John, because I think that, you know, you're a much stronger person now than you were before. And I just think that at this point now it's on to bigger and better things.
Well, I don't know about that. I'm just focusing on day to day and trying to do the best I can with what I'm doing. So whether that's the show or our projects outside of it or anything like that, I'm just focusing on what's in front of me right now and trying to do the best I can. And let's move past this sappy shit before, you know, we bring down to the tone of the show. So, Mike, you got anything else? Because I just want to move past this bullshit.
I don't know. Should we just get into the round table?
Yeah, fuck it. Why the hell not? You motherfuckers out there, stay tuned. We're going to get right into a badass fan roundtable covering all things Evil fucking Dead. Oh, and by the way, if anyone wants to buy a custom engagement ring, black with green emeralds, shoot me a message.
Do you have it now?
No, I fucking trashed that thing. Moving on.
And then we just sampled that and played it like a musical instrument. And we pitched it down.
Legend has it that it was written by the Dark Ones. Necronomicon Lex Mortis. Naturon de Book of the Dead.
Well, the guy that's renting it says it's an old place. A little run down, but it's right up in the mountains.
Well, it might not be that bad.
No.
Actually, it might be kind of nice.
Yeah.
We'll all go in together.
Hell no. You're the curious one.
Dead by dawn.
I'll swallow your soul.
Dead by dawn.
I'll swallow your soul.
Come get some.
There's something out there. It lives out in those woods.
Seek the passages. Dispel the evil. In my soul. You bastards!
Oh, you little bastards!
You dirty bastard!
Oh, you bastards!
Oh, you little bastards! You dirty bastard!
Oh, you bastards! Oh, you little bastards!
Who wants some? Good. Bad. I ain't that good.
Who wants to have a little?
Good. Bad. I'm the guy with the gun. Dead by dawn.
I'll swallow your soul.
Dead by dawn.
I'll swallow your soul.
No, you
groovy.
All right, everyone, welcome back. This is the Evil Dead Roundtable. Joining me is...
Hold on.
Mike, what?
You forgot. Let's roll this bitch.
That's your catchphrase, not mine.
Well, you should start saying it, too.
No. Moral of the story, Mike. Fuck you.
I know.
Yeah, that's my catchphrase.
Exactly. Okay.
You know, you have one about the whole show and everything. I have one that just insults you. That's my catchphrase. Right. Anyway, Mike is obviously with me, but... From Guilty Pleasure Cinema, once again joining us is Scott. Thank you very much, Scott.
Hello.
All right. Past that, we have our hardcore dedicated fans, as always, because we love these guys. We have Cody with us. Cody.
Yeah, that drunk guy that always calls in. Hi, everybody.
We go. Thank you, Cody. And Avery, our super fan who has always been there to help us out.
How's it going?
Thank you all for joining us. Welcome to All Things Evil Fucking Dead. So,
as long as the remake isn't discussed, it's going to be a good show.
Yeah.
Oh my.
So let's actually start this off by discussing the remake. But
fuck me sideways, please. Okay, continue.
I know quite a few of us out there haven't seen it. I know Scott hasn't seen it. So
Scott.
We're not going to really spoil it.
Be thankful, Scott.
I'll do a disclaimer. I'm the action guy. I don't see much horror, but when I usually do, I'll admit I puss out. I read spoilers. I know what's going on because I'll know what's going to be happening. So whatever. Because it's not about the scare for me. It's still about the movie and the making of it and all that. So I know a good deal of what happened. A friend of mine broke it down for me. I know about the end. Yes, I know about the stuff on that. So. Don't worry about spoilers. It's not going to ruin it for me. Plus, from what I've heard, it's either going to be it'll confirm what I've heard or it'll confirm what I've heard. So
that it's a piece of shit. Okay.
And that Mike's fucking retarded.
Yeah, so I don't know what to make of it because now, like before, I wanted to see it out of curiosity. Now I really want to see it out of curiosity.
And that seems to be the thing with this film is it's hit or miss. You either like it or you hate it. And I think that's part of the problem with it right now. And let's dive a little bit into that because, you know, with the remake, this is the second weekend that it's been out and it's had quite the little box office drop here. Let's see. According to Box Office Mojo, it is number 5 for the weekend. Okay. It brought in 9,500,000, and that is a 63% drop from last weekend.
Which, for a horror movie, is actually kind of typical, but usually a lot of those will drop like 70-something%, because it's a really fully first weekend loaded thing. 60's not all that bad. I mean, it's still bad. That means it's really got no legs. But not much horror does, so...
Yeah, and I don't know if it's when they opened it, if that's part of the problem, if it's word of mouth. I'm just kind of curious as to, like, your opinion, everyone out there, as to what it is. So, Mike, what do you think the reason is?
Start with me.
I want to start with you.
Oh, no, you don't want me to rip it anymore, because that's all I'm going to do.
All right, so, we're just going to keep it moving.
I'll jump on that one, actually. Okay. Mike, I mean, with that... You didn't like the movie itself, but with the weekend and how it performed, do you think it was a bad time to put it out? Like Easter is what we're looking at, really. That's not exactly horror time, but could they have done a better job of releasing it at a different time? Maybe.
Oh God, no way. I don't think anything would have saved it. I think that what this shows is that there is no word of mouth that's good word of mouth on this movie, and just people. Don't like it. Like you said, it has no legs. There is no legs to stand on with The Evil Dead. Because like I mentioned to John earlier, and I'll say it again here. When the original Evil Dead was released in 1981, that was a movie that, at the time, there wasn't a movie like it, with gore and all that stuff, that like balls-to-the-wall stuff, kind of. You know, it was different. I mean, the remake didn't bring anything new to the table. all you have with the remake is gore and blood. I didn't really think that there were characters that you cared about. There was no development there. So it's just a gore movie. And really, with Saw in 2004, that was like the pinnacle of gore-type movies. And I mean, I just think that it's worn out now.
Did the practical effects help it in any way, do you think? Or
no.
It wouldn't have mattered?
Mike's just hating on it because it's called Evil Dead.
Because it's not an Evil Dead movie.
It is.
No, it's not.
But we're not going to debate that.
That sounds like my Die Hard
further.
argument.
Yeah, we're not going to debate this farther. Cody, what do you think the reason for the box office drop is?
Oh, I'm going to go completely with Scott there on that. I mean, look at Texas Chainsaw 3D. You know, it plummeted the second weekend. Number one at the box office first weekend, and then it bottomed out the next weekend. But, I mean, like you said, that's horror films for you.
Okay, all right. Avery, what are your thoughts on this?
I actually do think it has something to do with the time that's being released. I mean, it's kind of like last year. In 2012 when they released Scream 4, around the same time pretty much, that didn't do so well after. I mean, that didn't really do well in general, but so because of, the time being not really well for horror movies, it's not like October or anything like that, I suspect that had something to do with it. And so, next week when Lords of Salem is released, I expect that to not do so well either.
Well,
now,
sadly...
I want to comment on that, actually, with the timing of when to release it, if you don't mind, John.
Okay, go for it.
It really had no competition, aside from G.I. Joe 2, which opened the week prior, and the Jurassic Park 3D remake, re-release, whatever. So it really, if it wasn't out, the only new release would have been Jurassic Park, which means there would have been no new release. So it really kind of cherry-picked a spot. But as far as for a different time of year, I don't think it would have mattered, considering there's no more traditional time, except for Halloween belonged to Saw and then Paranormal Activity. You avoid that if you're horror. If you got a throwaway one, you throw it in January. Otherwise, you can release Halloween movies in August and be successful. It's weird, but I really think that the timing, I don't know what they could have done otherwise, but I mean, it made $25 million in its opening weekend. The budget was $17 million. It still worked. It was successful. Doesn't mean it was good.
No, here's the thing. I totally agree. I think this thing would have fucking killed even more in October.
Oh, probably.
But I don't think it was really... Yeah, I don't really think it was the timing. I just think it's kind of the thing... that's how horror films go in theaters anymore, almost, is, they'll kind of cherry pick their spot the best they can, and they're going to blow it up, and they do really well. And this one did, for itself, it did exceptionally well the opening weekend.
Oh, it bucked the trend, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the days of a movie having a huge, lengthy run, aside from like your Titanic or Avatar, I mean, Back to the Future was number one at the box office for, I think, 15 weeks back in 85.
Yeah.
And yet its gross wasn't that big. It is historically, but if you don't have that first weekend or that first day sales on a DVD or something, you failed. Even though you can look at something like, best example last year with that Silver Linings Playbook. It was going 20 million, 30 million, 40 million, 50 million, and it's under the radar, never number one, never really top 10. Then the Oscar stuff hit, it's up around 130 now.
Yeah.
That's legs. Usually something with legs isn't at the top. That's the thing I find.
And to even counter what Mike said that the original was different and this and that. The original, I don't believe, did terribly well in its theatrical run because it didn't have much of a theatrical run. It had some drive-ins and whatnot. It got its legs.
It made like
through
$1 million.
Cult. Yeah.
I looked at,
but
that's it.
In those days, you don't have that now. I mean, the thing is, if you don't make it, I mean, come on. If you don't make it these days, this had a theatrical run. They opened it in like 3,000 screens.
No, Mike, I was actually setting you up to go in your whole little thing is the time of these blood and guts horror movies over. Is it more what the audience are looking for is something like Insidious, like, you mentioned before. I was setting you up for that, but,
I forgot about that. That's why I gave you that note, so I could forget about it.
But no, Mike brought up the good point before that, are these movies, horror movies go in cycles. Are these ones kind of reaching the end of their cycle? And are we seeing more popularity with the supernatural ones along Insidious and Sinister and Paranormal Activities? Are these going to be the ones that are going to get more people gravitating to them and going to have slightly better legs,
I think so.
Okay. All right.
We went through. Well, I just go through the timing of it. You had the original Halloween, the original Evil Dead, the violent slasher. They became unstoppable in the 80s. Like it was almost a running joke. In the 90s, they kind of died off, and you had. I really couldn't tell you much about 90s horror. It was just kind of
good,
fluttering about. But then you started getting things like your Hostel and your Saw, and they just went, all right, let's go all the way. And that's where we're at, and that's why that stuff petered out, and you get the more cheaper to make, but also cerebral Paranormal Activity and stuff like that, where it's just playing on your mind. They went as far as they could with showing you things that scare you or gross you out. Now they're just making noises and making you react, which is going to play itself out as well, because eventually, probably 5 years down the road, something like Evil Dead will come out and people like, oh my god, they're actually showing it.
Yeah.
We're not at the point where we need that yet, I think.
Okay. All right. Cody, what are your thoughts on this?
Oh, absolutely. Couldn't agree more with that. Like I said, it goes in cycles. But I think we need something like that. Like I said, I think actually the Paranormal Activity, Insidious type thing, I think it is not dying out. I think it pretty much has died out. Though I don't know how the last Paranormal Activity did at the box office, but I'm willing to bet it wasn't very well.
Well, I hope it wasn't, because that was a piece of shit.
It did okay, but nothing like the first three. But
That's
enough
why they
to make
haven't
a
talked 5 yet. Well,
no. They did off the bat, but then they saw no legs like the rest and went,
Yeah.
Now they're rethinking it.
Yeah. I mean, it takes them like a month to make.
I like to think it's the reason that Texas Chainsaw 3D did so well. It's opening weekend. People are really feeling that whole nostalgia vibe right now. They've had something different. Well, like I said, since the 90s on. I mean, the 90s, we had Scream, and I Know What You Did Last Summer,
Yeah.
I was a teenager during the 90s, and it kind of sucked.
Yeah, it was like fucking EW horror films.
Yeah. But people are ready for something different. They're ready for a throwback to what works, or what did work, I think.
Okay. All right. Avery, what are your thoughts on this?
I don't really think the paranormal cycle is going to last long, especially because, obviously Paranormal Activity is dying out, and Insidious 2 has a lot of promise, but, I don't know how much longer they can go with that movie in terms of being a series. So it would be nice to bring back the slasher and stuff like that. I also noticed that, especially about Texas Chainsaw 3D, was it kind of went back to the original story. And I think, a lot of people enjoyed how it kind of connected to the original. And so I feel like if they did that with, Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th, like if they just forgot about those remakes and did something that was more relevant to, like, the first one of those, like, the first one, the original series, I think it would definitely work.
Okay, that's an interesting concept. But the thing is that is actually kind of weird and similar with these films is both Texas Chainsaw 3D and Friday the 13th hit big at the box office, dropped off the following weekend. Both of them had automatic talks of sequels, and not jack shit has happened since. Do we think there's going to be a sequel to Evil Dead? Michael J?
I want Evil Dead 4. I don't want an Evil Dead 2.
Okay, well, I'm not excluding that, because I am willing to bet that this remake was really going to kind of feel what the audience wanted. And, if they wanted it, they were going to get both. It wasn't going to be like, oh, this failed, let's go back to the original. I think it was kind of hinging on this.
Yeah, I mean, I just hope that the crossover thing, like I said before, you don't want to alienate your audience, but I don't think the crossover is going to happen, but I do think that will get Evil Dead 4. Definitely.
Okay, I think, obviously. Sorry to jump there, but financially, yeah, easy. It made enough. It'll do it.
So, are you seeing a sequel to the remake or the originals, though, Scott?
Remake, probably. I'm on Box Office Mojo. That's my source. And considering that Evil Dead made $2 million, Evil Dead 2 made $5 million, Army of Darkness made $11 million. Evil Dead Remake is at 41. Now, I know you got inflation and all that, but there's no way any of those come close to that, and that's only 2 weeks in. And
yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Is that even worldwide, or is that just domestic?
You know what? I think that's only domestic. Oh, let's look at with inflation. Army of Darkness is at 22. Worldwide, Evil Dead Remake is at 46.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to look at horror remakes to see where it places. Okay. It's 20th already. It's got a ways to go, but it'll just come out. If it breaks into 50 million, it's going to start getting up there with the Halloweens, the Nightmare on Elm Street, the Friday. I think that's really going to be the benchmark of where it's going to do. If it can break into the classic trilogy almost, or the trinity of those, Freddy, Jason, Michael, if it can break into that, there definitely is something. Considering it didn't even cost them $20 million to make, probably cost them $20 million to market. We're talking $40 million. It already hit that, and it will do more. It's probably already got its sales for the cable markets and international. That's all already worked out. The DVD, Blu-ray sales are going to be substantial as well for that. We're probably looking at a $100 million movie overall. At least when you factor all that in. Of course they're going to do a sequel to that. Of course they're going to want a sequel to that. Whether or not they actually do it is something different entirely.
Yeah.
That I don't know. Because then you've got your talk of the Avengers of Horror, right? With combining them and whatever else they do. That talk already could spur on more from that. I really don't know. There's been so many where it should have got a sequel, but it never did. When financially it's obvious, and yet it takes forever before they actually do it. This is kind of an example of that. So, there's people saying, yes, it will get one. It's just a matter of the people who actually would do it saying, okay, we're gonna. I think with this box office, they're probably gonna do it, yeah.
Okay. All right. You
Money
bring
talks.
up a lot of good points.
I ramble a bit.
No. You brought up very good points.
Long
Cody.
story short is money talks. So
yeah. Cody, what do you have to bring?
Well, I think when it comes down to it, I mean, like I said, box office has been decent, to say the least. And what it comes down to, if Sam Raimi wants to do Evil Dead 4 or Army of Darkness 2, whatever you want to call it, he's established enough. If he wants to do it, he's going to do it, And I hope he does.
Yeah. All right, Avery.
I really don't know. I'm actually really kind of interested in seeing them do a part 4. But, at the same time, I'd be really curious as to what they would do with a sequel to the remake. So either way, I'm fine with it.
All right. Well, for me, it is an interesting thing because it is making money. It has already made back how much it cost. This one was a lower budget film, obviously. I'm still kind of curious because with normal horror films, you want to wait until it hits the home front DVD Blu-ray to kind of see how it's going to do there, to see if it has legs, if it's got any life past that. But with this one, I almost want to say with how it's already hit and with how much planning and whatnot they've already got out there, at least that's the rumor. I want to say that Raimi and Ghost House might actually just take a chance on this, regardless of how it does at home, and go ahead. And like I believe it was Fide has said, they're going to try and put out a 2 and 4 around the same year. So it'd be kind of interesting if in 2014, 2015, we end up with an Evil Dead 2 and an Evil Dead 4. I think that would be really cool. So we'll see.
I think it'll probably happen in 2014.
Well, I think they might actually use the title. It keeps getting tossed around now of Army of Darkness 2. Just to kind of separate themselves from the new Evil Deads, you know? Just so they can market it and not confuse the shit out of the general population.
Hey, they could always pull out Medieval Dead.
That would be awesome, but I don't believe that'll happen.
No, probably not. But I still want that.
Yeah. But I see it happening, and I really, really hope the crossover does happen, because regardless of how much Mike wants to shit all over this movie, I still think that team-up could be amazing, and what it could just do for the horror genre in general could be groundbreaking. And
well, I've got a question for you, John.
Go for it.
If the movie ended with the credits, without anything after that, would you still want the sequel as badly?
Well,
because I'm trying to be spoilery. I'm trying to avoid. So,
yeah, no, I would want the sequel to this one, but I would still be very hesitant to a sequel to the originals, because I've heard Bruce Campbell down talk it so much that I'm hesitant, just like he's been for years, about can they really do it, and if they do it, can they actually top themselves, or are they just going to end up looking like fools, like Indiana Jones 5, because no matter how much they tried, it just, to me, it didn't work. I don't want to see Grandpa swinging around on a whip, you know?
See, a big part of that, though, is probably misdirection. Like, he's probably talking it down to be like, oh, we're not doing that. Of course he's not going to just say they are. But the downplay it in the sense like, oh, that's it's like a negative, that would be another story altogether. But it's the same thing like they talk about with Marvel. They've literally got the next movies planned out through like Avengers 3, which is 12 movies. They're not telling anybody about it. And if people ask, they're like, we're not going to tell you. So it very well could be along those lines. So it's always taken with a grain of salt kind of thing.
But just
even Batman did that. Yeah, I mean, all these rumors about, oh, he's playing this character. No, he's playing this. It was a disguise. Stuff like that. So
yeah, and I don't know if this is all just, you know, fanfare to get people more into this film or not, but regardless, just the potential of this has got me really excited. And even if it is just fanfare, hopefully the amount of excitement they're getting from it, maybe they'll actually start to consider it.
That's true. That's something they really are probably listening to also. Because even if none of this was planned, well, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Scott, would you be down for that? Would you go and watch, you know, the combination film?
Oh, yeah. I love crossover kind of stuff. Freddy versus Jason. The idea of Avengers. I mean, that is... Sure, it's all owned by the same company, so it's not really a crossover. But to see these independent movies, 3 or 4 of them, combined into one, it still kind of caught me with my brain had a little bit of trouble comprehending that this was happening. It was still weird that they were pulling this off. So for them to do that with this, I mean, I wanted to see Freddy versus Jason versus Ash for a long time, and there was more talk about that not happening than there was happening.
Yeah.
They had to keep debunking it. To me, that should have said, all right, let's push this and figure out a way to make it happen. Even Freddy vs. Jason was supposed to end with Pinhead, and they had to pull him because they couldn't get the rights to do a sequel to that. That's where they were thinking. That's where they were going. So this isn't exactly a new thing. Even Alien and Predator, for crying out loud. So I would love to see it. It is a weird thing to see two franchises, an original and a remake, go parallel.
Exactly.
If they can pull that off, then that's just crazy in its own right.
Yeah.
I would definitely be interested in seeing them attempt it. Whether or not it'll be any good, I have no idea. But I want to see it because it's never been tried.
Exactly. I mean, Cody, what are your thoughts on this?
Oh yeah, I'm 100% for it. The thing is, well, not just in the horror genre. Like I said, the whole nostalgia aspect right now. I mean, do you really think a movie like The Expendables or Expendables 2 would have been successful 20 years ago? Probably not. Probably not. But, you know, the thing is, making a movie that will appeal both to the people that grew up with the original films during that generation and the younger generation. And if they could do that, and I felt that Evil Dead, to a very good extent, did. Like in you guys' interview with Fede, you know, he said they were trying to appeal to the masses as well as have little nods in there for the hardcore fans. And I felt he did, you know, with the old Oldsmobile and several other things in the film, you know. Yeah, sure, why not? Let's throw them all together, see what happens.
Now, you mentioned something there. There's a really fine line with a remake where you want to acknowledge what came before, but you don't want to dwell on it. And if you don't put anything in, people will be like, oh, they should have done this and this and this. If you put stuff in, oh, they're pointing out so much stuff from the 4. It won't stand on its own. You really can't please everyone.
Well, what he did was
you just
actually
gotta do it.
What he did was pretty interesting because, like, they go to the cabin, and the Oldsmobile that Ash and his friends in the original went there in is actually just a broke-down car that's pushed out back of the cabin now. And it's almost like, as Fede said in my interview with him, that this is almost, you know, just a sequel to the original.
Yeah, so. And I love that about it.
The other example of that is the Get Smart movie. You ever see that?
Good point, actually.
All the classic stuff from the show was 60s stuff in a museum in the lobby.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it. That's you can acknowledge it and you can nod and wink at it, but you do need to say this came before.
Yeah, and I think Fede did a good job of addressing that. But without forgetting Avery, what are your thoughts on the combination film?
I would really think that'd be a good idea. I'm trying to sit here and thinking of ways of how they could possibly do it and have it work. I think it would take a lot of work and a lot of drafts to kind of come up with a good idea of how they can do it. Because, you know, like it's been said, you can't really please everyone, so some are going to like it and some are going to hate it.
Well, yeah, I think probably about the best way to tackle that is to simply, with the sequel to the remake, continue her story. And with the continuation of the original series, you can explain what happened to Ash, where he's at. You know, you can do something as simple as he screwed up saying an incantation again. He gets sucked actually into the Deadite dimension. And then at the end of the sequel to Part 2, the sequel to the remake, she can get sucked in too, you know, just land in a lake of blood and like pull herself up out, and Deadite's ready to kill her, and Ash kills it, and, you know, that's the setup right there. The two are together now, and they have to fight their way out, or anything like that. It's just, your next two films have to set that up. So that would be very interesting to see.
There is a bit of a precedence, actually, from the comic books. One of them, the recent ongoing series of it, actually started up with a female Ash. It's her name is Ashley, etc., etc., and it parallels the Ash that we all know. And as the story goes on, it's trying to really just have things explain why she exists and what's going on, and then she just literally, in Ash fashion, blunders into Bruce Campbell's Ash, and they adventure and fight and whatnot and go from there. So that was a year or so ago, I think, when that came out. I don't know if that's influencing it directly, but that's pretty crazy considering it's licensed and would have to have gone through approvals for it. Though I know there is differences on the Evil Dead license and the Army of Darkness license, and that gets weird in its own right, but they've kind of tackled similar.
And you bring up a good point, because I actually wanted to talk more than just about, you know, the remake or just the Evil Dead films, I wanted to kind of get into like all things Evil Dead, as I said in the very beginning. So, you brought up the comic books. Has anyone besides me and Scott have even read or seen these comic books? Crickets. Guess not. Okay. No. Well, they've actually been continued on in the Dynamite, I believe, company has continued them on through Army of Darkness, and under that name, comics, and they're actually pretty good. I just recently, as Mike's aware, picked up the first 2 omnibuses, and they're good. They're very in line with what
John,
the Evil Dead films are.
Real quick, maybe you could give us a brief rundown of what an omnibus is, because I have no idea.
Oh, what it is it is a combination of the series run. Now, say you'll have Batman. Everyone knows Batman. You'll have 1 through 10 of Batman fighting the Joker, and then the storyline will change slightly. Well, what an omnibus would be it'd be a collection of all those for, say, a year. So I picked up probably about the first 2 years worth of Army of Darkness comic books.
Yeah,
okay?
you've got your normal trade paperback, which is like a storyline, like you said, like 6 issues or something. The omnibus will throw like 30 or 40 of the issues together, generally. Depends on who's doing it. But yeah, I know some like to do like the full year or the full run, stuff like that. It's basically, you're going to get that book, you're not going to miss anything, is what they're trying to do.
Yeah, what I did was I picked up the first one, and it has the adaptation of Army of Darkness, which is actually from a Sam Raimi and Ivan Raimi draft of the script, and it has to be an earlier draft because it does differ from the movie. It's kind of interesting. It's a little bit more bloody, a little darker, and the comics they do have a lot of throwbacks to movies in them, but it doesn't get repetitive enough that you find them annoying. The humor is there. It's good. And they're bloody. They're what you expect from Evil Dead. And I gotta say, I'm this far not disappointed.
Yeah, I find they feel really true to what they were going with. Very much more, at least in my opinion, Army of Darkness-y than Evil Dead.
They're kind of along... They're a mix between Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness to me. Because you do get some of the really wacky stuff, but then you get some of the really dark where he's just in a mass of deadites hacking him up with his fucking chainsaw. So,
yeah.
I mean, Evil Dead has influenced the comics. They've gone on and, inspired their own chain of comics. From that, they even have video games. Has anyone actually played any of the Evil Dead video games? Because I know there was, what was it? Hail to the King, Fistful of Boomstick, and Regeneration, I believe, were the 3. Has anyone played those? Crickets once again.
I have both.
There we go.
The ones for PS2, the Fistful of Boomstick and Regeneration.
Okay. Now, do you think they're actually kind of true to the Evil Dead franchise?
Well, when it comes to video game adaptations, you can't get much better than the Evil Dead games. I mean, because you actually had Bruce Campbell in there doing the voice, and in Regeneration you had Ted Raimi doing I don't even remember the name of the little midget deadite.
Sam.
But it was nice. They were both fun games to play. I really enjoyed Fistful of Boomstick. It's been years since I played it, but I mean, the writing was good, the storyline was good. It was a long-ass game to play, and difficult, too, but it just added that much more to it, I thought.
No, I totally agree, and I actually think that we could benefit from these existing, because hopefully the filmmakers, when they're actually looking at this, if they actually decide to make a combination film, maybe they're going to look at something like Fistful of Boomstick and see the epic scale that, this was on, and maybe they'll attempt something like that, because this was a epic game where it spanned from modern day, what was it, Dearborn, to Civil War, to futuristic, to, it was all over the place. I mean, maybe we will benefit from that, but I totally agree. That was an awesome game.
John, did you know there's a new game with Ash coming out next month?
No. Oh no, the poker game.
Yeah, that one.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and then, you even have iPhone games. I have the Army of Darkness Defense on my iPhone and the Evil Dead game on my iPhone. I mean, the games are out there. Everyone is very aware of this. I mean, its influence is all over the damn place. I mean, even just past the stuff with its name on it, it's influenced a lot. I mean, go for it.
I was going to say, I think it's a big reason why Doom had a chainsaw in it.
Okay, yeah.
It's probably related, and
Duke Nukem's catchphrases.
Yeah, well, a lot of that's "They Live" as well, but there is definitely some from that too. I think Duke Nukem Forever ripped off a lot of Ash's lines. That Poker Night though is going to be weird. It's Poker Night 2. It's going to be on for everything: Xbox, PC. You've got one of the characters from Venture Brothers, which I'm not familiar with, but you've also got Claptrap from Borderlands, which is a huge franchise. You've got the dog from Sam & Max, and you've got Ash from in the copyright. It says Army of Darkness playing poker. I just see that cast list, and I'm like, Telltale is doing absolutely nothing that I know of with Evil Dead Army of Darkness. Why is he in this? It just doesn't fit. I don't get it. It makes me think that they might be looking at the idea of doing a game based on Army of Darkness or Evil Dead. And these are the guys that made the Walking Dead adventure game. So if they're kind of tipping their toe in the water, there could be something really good coming out of that.
Well, that could be just something simple that they needed to put something out to keep licenses on those characters for future games. So
could be. Like I said, if I don't know if anyone's played the Walking Dead adventure game.
No, I was going to, but I'm not good at games like that. I'm only good at sports games. So.
Yeah, it's like the old point and click ones. If you ever played like the King's Quest or stuff like that. I'm dating myself a bit, but I don't care. But it's an adventure game. You're not running around hacking and shooting and that. You've got to use strategy and ideas and figure out a way to lure something over here. And it was game of the year. It was amazing. The writing. I've seen people, they said they cried when they finished it because it was so emotional. If they're the ones who are going to attack Army of Darkness, Evil Dead, that's kind of like the best pedigree you could get doing it. That would be like a Spielberg saying, I'm going to make an Evil Dead. It's huge pedigree coming in that you wouldn't normally associate. So if they're saying, hey, let's put this character in, let's see what kind of reaction we get. Okay.
Well, do you think that a game like that would do well in today's market? A giant Evil Dead game like that?
If it's the adventure type, yes, because that would benefit from writing and character more than just running around hacking and slashing. And it would be more like an Evil Dead 2 in that it wouldn't really be Ash as the great hero, but more reacting and making his way through. Because I really think that would be a better game than just having him run around like a Splatterhouse where you just kill everything. Those have their place, but I think they could get something really unique out of it otherwise.
Okay. Mike, what do you think about that?
Well, I don't know, because I've never really played any of the games. Like I said, I'm just not good at the time. Actually, no, I can't say that. I played Fistful of Boomstick. I didn't get past the first level. I got frustrated with it.
See, the trick is you got to realize Ash is a fuck-up, and literally on the first level, you have to fuck up.
So wait, you're saying that Ash is a fuck-up in the game or in real life? Because if you're saying in real life,
No, I'm saying the character, because he always screws up. He always screws up when he's saying the incantation, whatever. So actually on the first level, like I was playing it and it was really frustrating me, and I was trying to figure it out, and I was just like, wait, Ash is a fuck up. What if I just do this? And I did it, fucked up, and it worked. And that was one of the things that was cool about it, is you actually had to at least know a little bit about the character. So.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of love put in that game. I mean, it wasn't something they just turned out and threw the name on. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, Avery, what do you think about the games in general? Because I know we somewhat missed you, And what do you think about, if this large, grandiose game came out, do you think it would be successful in today's market?
I really don't know because I don't play games at all. I mean, the only game I really play is Slender, but I don't play that very often. So I think if promoting it heavily might work, but nowadays everyone just cares about Call of Duty and BioShock and just games where people are running around and shooting people, and so I don't know how Evil Dead would do, but it'd kind of be interesting to see.
Okay, yeah, I totally agree. Cody, what are your thoughts around the grandiose game? Do you think this large, story-themed game would be successful in today's market?
It's really hard to say. The original Evil Dead games, I mean, apparently they did well enough to produce sequels. But, hell, I remember both of them whenever I picked them up. When they first come out, I'd give like $20 for them, And, I mean, I have no idea how well they did, but I'm going to assume it wasn't that great. I guess good enough to produce, like I said, to produce sequels. But I'd love to see it. I'd definitely buy it. But as far as the grand scheme of things, company picking it up to make money, I just don't know if it'd happen.
Okay, all right. So, just kind of in closing, then, let's go around and let's just kind of get everyone's thoughts on the franchise as a whole. So, Michael J., what are your thoughts on the Evil Dead as a franchise?
Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, excellent films. Love them very much. I think I gave my ratings in all the other retrospectives, so I won't go there again. The remake, I felt, was a steaming pile of garbage, and that's all.
Okay. No love for anything else? Okay. All right. Scott, what are your thoughts on the franchise?
I'll kind of follow the lead on that. Evil Dead was ambitious as hell, and they pulled it off. 2, they kind of took another stab at it. It was awesome. Army, I love to death. It was great, and that's where all the comics and stuff came from that I'm a fan of as well. I never did play the games, so I can't really speak on those, but I always wanted them. That was in the in-between when I wasn't playing it. And the remake is proof positive, along with the comics and such, that there is life in this, and that they can definitely go somewhere with it. It's got me worried about potential, because it's one of those cases where you always talk about there's infinite potential, but if you never do anything with it, that's all it'll ever be, and it's wasted potential. So they've actually got to get ambitious with this and go for it. So if it's true that they are making the new one 30 years after the original, and they've got plans to combine it, I think that'll be the legacy it has. I think that's what it needs to go for. That's my opinion on it. I don't know. If it just is a remake that's one and done, it'll be like Friday the 13th. Everyone knows the originals, and they did that one other thing.
Okay.
It's got a chance to break out of that. So
it really does. Cody, what are your thoughts on the franchise as a whole?
Well, first of all over the place. But one of the very few franchises I can think of that, it just showcases Raimi's ability. I mean, how many other franchises have been able to do that? Go from straight horror to comedy, and be able to pull it off and not just completely sink the franchise. And then, like you said, with the remake, or like you said, also and or sequel to the original, it's like the continuity of it all is horrible, but people love these movies. There's just something different about them. And, and I think that's what keeps bringing people back for more. And sure, if they decide to do another one, if they go ahead with it, the combination movie, or just do a sequel to the remake, or do an Evil Dead 4, I think it's going to have legs. I think people are going to want to see it, you know?
All right. Avery, what are your thoughts on the franchise, buddy?
I completely loved the series. My parents aren't that big of a fan as I am, but I love them all, and I'm not, like, when I left the theater from the remake, I wasn't sure if I actually liked that one better than the original or not. Because, they're both done so well, and I know that some people, including Mike, had a problem with, the fact that there was not really any character development, but I kind of feel like in the original, there wasn't much character development as well. So, that was one of the things that kind of I wish they did more of. But I understand nowadays a lot of people feel like, character development kind of drags on. So a lot of movies, action and horror, kind of just start off with, a lot of the scares and stuff like that and just kind of continue all the way throughout. But, yeah, no, I love the movies. I think in the original series, I think Part 2 of Evil Dead was my favorite. I definitely want to see a sequel to the remake or, Part 4. When, the combination would be good, too. I feel like they would kind of mess up and make Ash, the lead role's father or her uncle or something like that. Something crazy.
Ooh, yeah. That could be bad. As for myself, I think anyone that's been listening to this is aware that this is my absolute favorite franchise. I mean, the original... Yeah, the original is my absolute favorite film of all time. I mean, I like the second one, I love the third one, and I think the remake is a goddamn good film. The video games, I've played the shit out of them. I've recently just started to get into the comics. I'm not that big into comics at all, honestly, but I'm loving these. I have multiple Evil Dead shirts. Scott showed me one, and I've already purchased it. I'm waiting to receive it.
The chainsaw in the stone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Scott, why do you encourage him? Please,
I feel like an enabler sometimes. I've sent him a link while we're talking, so.
Oh no.
He already knows about that one.
Because I just have to deal with it later, and it's not fun.
Well, I mean, you guys know how much my love of this goes. I've even talked to Scott and Mike before that when Regeneration came out, the company made a life-size statue of Ash from the video games to be put in certain stores. And these are now on the private market, and I actually would love to obtain one of these.
Yeah, and you will one day, don't worry.
I'm actually so into these that I want an original theatrical print of the original Evil Dead. I'm all about this. I love this franchise. I think it's amazing. It's had far-reaching influence. I mean, it is all over the place with its influence across all the films. Even as far as like American Dad, when we see Stan in the future, he ends up looking like an Ash, type character in the future. I mean, the influence is all over the place. I agree with Scott that the potential is there, and I really hope that Sam and everyone takes a chance on this. They give us a sequel to the remake, and I hope it continues in the vein. I hope we build off from Jane Levy's character and get to know her better and more involved in that. And I hope we get a series continuation from the original. And I really hope we get this big, grandiose combination film that horror's been needing, this big, epic thing. And I hope that that's what this is. And I feel that, the community out there has enough love for this that it can happen and it will be fully embraced, but I don't know if it will. And I'm a little, hesitant to say it will, and I'm a little afraid, but I hope, and I think it would be totally amazing. But we'll have to wait and see.
That's the problem. It's got to appeal to more than just that core fan base.
Exactly.
It's got to hit the mainstream.
Exactly. All right, well, we've pretty much covered the shit out of Evil Dead. At least I hope we did. Hopefully it's entertaining. Mike, do you have any No, fuck Mike, we don't care. Scott, do you have any closing statements for us?
No.
All right,
no,
Cody,
I really don't. No.
Cody, do you have anything in closing for us, bud?
Hey, everybody go out and watch the new Evil Dead movie, you know. Give this franchise support so we can get another one. Because personally, I want to see another one, whether it's a combination film, a sequel to the remake, or namely Evil Dead 4, Army of Darkness 2. We want Ash.
Damn straight. And more than just a groovy, you know? God. Fuck you, Mike. Avery, do you have anything in closing for us, bud?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. Michael J., do you have anything that you want to spew out? Your hatred or something?
I'll be nice here, and I'll tell you something. and we'll have it on record here because it's being recorded. So, if our upcoming film is a success and actually makes some money, I will buy you that Ash statue, and maybe if I can find a 35mm print of Evil Dead, maybe I'll do that too. Ugh.
I'll send him the link if I find it.
Of course you will.
All right, and breaking news now from not only the Morbidly Made, but Murder Surge Entertainment, which is backing the film. I'm now directing Camp Out Nightmare. Sorry,
what
Mike.
The fuck? Wait, what happened to me?
This is going to be a successful film now. So.
Well, wait a minute. What happened? I thought that I was the helm here. What happened?
You said that if it's a successful film, you're going to buy me these things.
No, you watch Return to Crystal Lake. I told you I directed some of that, and that turned out to be a decent film.
No, it definitely was. But I want to thank Scott for Guilty Pleasure coming on, helping out. It's always an honor, sir.
Always fun to be on. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Cody, thank you for all your support and always being there. It's an honor, sir.
My pleasure, guys.
And Avery, there are not enough nice things that I can say about you for everything that you've done for us. I am always pleased to have you on and talk with you.
Thank you. I really have fun doing this because it's actually a place where I can actually talk to people who understand horror movies. You know, because, I mean, my friends know horror movies, but they don't know Evil Dead and Nightmare on Elm Street and the original things that we would know about.
Well, you know what?
Because we're old.
Well, you know what? Expose them to the show. Get them involved, you know. That's what we're about. This whole fan table thing is just supposed to be so we can get fans together and just BS. The whole idea behind this, the whole idea that me and Mike had behind this is pretty much like a bunch of friends get together, we go out to eat, we're having some drinks, and we're just BSing about movies. The only thing is, we're just doing it over Skype instead.
Yeah, and there's no food or drinks here.
Well, I got drinks. I don't know about you.
I got drinks.
You do.
But, all right, guys, thank you very much. Hopefully this was good.